Tonight's episode of Gun News Weekly is in honor of Pat Rogers. Make sure you stay tuned to the end of the show where we'll be able to show a little memorial video.
This is an angry baby.
Welcome everybody to Gun News Weekly. It's Thursday night. All new intro. Same guys hanging out. Thanks to David Horton for the music. Ross is in the house. Rob Pincus is on the road, pulling over, getting a good signal. And we're all just hanging out, doing our thing. Thanks for everybody that jumped on for the pre-show over on Facebook. It was good to see everybody over there. And it's good to have you with us on a Thursday night. Unfortunately, we start off tonight with heavy hearts. I mean, it is what it is. Let's get to it and talk about it. Plenty of great news and stories to talk about, but the not-so-great stuff is tragedy in the gun world, as we announced at the beginning there. Pat Rogers passed away. The video that we're going to share at the end is something that's going around Facebook, and by all indications, it's something that would be very appropriate for us to share at the end of the show. So that's exactly what we're going to do to honor Pat. But, Rob, I'm sure you have some thoughts, being who you are. If you don't mind, I hate to put you because I didn't mention it to you in the pre-show, but I can't think of someone that could relate to what's going on more than you. So if you want to share some thoughts, please do.
Yeah, and Pat and everybody that knows us, Pat and I have a shared history with SWAT Magazine. Obviously, it's a small community. Pat and I were never buddies. We never hung out. I had a lot of respect for what he brought with passion to the industry. I always said he was definitely the guy. Like if you needed to know something about the AR platform, the M4 platform, and the way it works, the mechanics of it, how you keep it running, aftermarket parts. The guy just that was his thing. Like that was, if there's one thing, and he brought a lot to the community, a lot of mentorship to a lot of guys, a lot of great training to a lot of people on ranges, shoot houses. But while he and I didn't see eye to eye on a lot of that, maybe how to run a range or what techniques were best or the details, I have a lot of respect for the contribution he made in every way, but especially that technical expertise. He really was passionate about knowing how to make it work and helping other guys figure out how to make it all work and keep it working in the heat of the moment, so to speak. So lots of respect. We are diminished. A lot of my mentors and a lot of my good friends were good friends with him, and I know that there were a lot of things that he brought to the table that I don't bring, and he'll be missed.
Thank you. Well put. Anybody else want to chime in?
I'm not sure there's a way to follow that. That was fantastic. Well said, Rob.
Right on.
Yeah, I don't think we can follow something that good.
Well, let's move on to the next one, and again, with all due respect to his family and everyone involved. But again, a member of the gun community, someone who advocated everything that we advocate in terms of the absolute right and the ability to defend yourself. We had another loss this week, a 110-year-old World War II veteran, the oldest known World War II veteran, Frank Levingston. We were talking about it in the pre-show. The guy was born in 1905. Think about what he has seen and been through. And most recently, he got some recognition and was in Pearl Harbor, and he went and saw the World War II memorial in D.C., et cetera, et cetera. So, again, honoring one of our veterans out there. The one that's close to home for a few of us here on the panel, and many of the people who I know are and will be watching this one, is our friend Tracy and Greg, and we're just going to leave it like that. Tracy and Greg were tactical response alumni, and again, Ross, Casey, myself are as well, and that is something that adds a little something. It's a little more personal. At the same time, it's something that anyone can relate to. Or not relate to. The tragedy is just almost unspeakable. A family was driving home from a family visit in the Wisconsin Dells, and a random act of violence, a car full of people that had earlier in the day done a home invasion and actually a murder as well, by all accounts so far, Car was driving erratically. The driver decided to try to get around it. Before he could even get around it, shots were fired randomly into the car. His wife was struck, was treated. The children were in the car, were not hurt. The gentleman is a Fed in the federal law enforcement arena, and he admitted as much trauma care as he could. Again, she was flown to Madison, it sounds like, and unfortunately she passed away. So a true friend of a friend, I guess you could say that, and all of our friends that are watching tonight, I encourage you to go over to the GoFundMe. The link I will put in the show description immediately after the show, and if we can get it out on the chats, Ross, if it's possible.
Yeah.
I'll forward this over to you. The last, again, I guess I'm not really hiding anything. The last name is spelled CZACZKOWSKI. Family Fund. That's the GoFundMe. Go there and search for that, and I'm sure you'll find it. And this is to help this gentleman, at least financially, get through some of the tougher stuff he's going to have to deal with his family and his children. I mean, this is a guy who now lost his wife, and the children don't have their mother. And again, I don't want to dwell on it any more than saying that James Yeager put out a video and has called to action. I know Ben Thomas was on Spike's pages and some other pages promoting action with some patch sales and all the money going to help. I know SOE is involved with it, and John Willis. And I know that, again, a bunch of the technical response alumni that are out there watching right now, I know that you guys are doing what you can as well, and I appreciate it. And again, I encourage everybody to at least look into the story, and if it touches you, please make a donation and help out that family.
You know, I just got two takeaways from this, Kevin. The first is that bad things happen to good people all the time. The second is things happen so quickly you may not, no matter how well trained you are, be able to react to that situation. And I guess a third is medical, and I think the panel can attest to a earlier incident this week that training is everything, but it's not everything, you know.
It is. It's major. It's major. We had a couple other stories, and Rob, I know that you had a couple posts this week on Facebook that were related to these stories, so stop me when I hit one. I think this is definitely one up front. It's odd that I think a week ago Sunday, I was sitting on my back porch thinking about my friends at service, and I posted a post on Facebook chat and said, what do you do when you go to church? Do you carry, do you not carry? And it just kind of sparked a discussion, and then we talked about it on the live show, and now we have a story from the Daily News. Gunman fatally shoots Pennsylvania churchgoer after a fight over a seat at a Sunday service. Schwell, you and I covered this on our little thing a couple days ago. You want to fill in a couple of the details about what happened that day? You remember, or are you on it?
Oh yeah, definitely on it. A gentleman goes to church. An argument ensues over a seat. That argument escalates, de-escalates, and then someone else inserts themselves into the argument while presenting a firearm as well as a concealed carrier's permit badge. And the gentleman that was a part of the original argument ends up shot twice, once in the arm, once in the chest. He succumbs to his wounds at the hospital. The gentleman that did the shooting has been charged, and I believe when you look into the story further, there are details coming out now that he has done this in the past, where he has presented his firearm as well as that fake badge or that concealed carrier's badge in the past. So that's a quick breakdown of the actual story.
All right, let's take it point by point, but let's start with the badge. Anyone that's unaware of what this thing is, it's a piece of plastic that you can buy on random websites out there that says concealed carry permit holder. It looks like an average police badge, in essence. It's absolutely worthless. It comes with no credentials or anything behind it. I think it's a bad idea in general. Rob, you, again, I know this is something that you posted and had some strong thoughts about as well.
Yeah, the novelty of it, like, I don't know what you do with that. Like, I don't know why that's a thing. Like, it is it's a dangerous thing to put into the hands of somebody that doesn't understand that it's kind of worthless and meaningless. And the problem is, while you can get technical and articulate that you're not misrepresenting yourself as a police officer, you're not trying to tell anybody you're anything except a legally armed citizen, whatever. Obviously, in our culture, people expect a badge to come with some level of authority. And when you're carrying around a metal badge in a holder, in a wallet, wearing it on your belt next to a gun, especially when there's a gun now brought into play in your hand or in a holster, the open carry holster, whatever it's going to be, you're insinuating something. And people aren't reading the fine print on that badge, right? The badge represents something in our culture, in our society. And when you're waving that around, what's going to happen is you may actually make people think that you're more in charge than you are. Maybe that's part of the tactic, the idea that you're going to cause calm and rational sense to walk into people's heads because you show up with a badge, and they're going to think twice about what they're doing that you feel is wrong. The problem is guys with real badges and flashy red and blue lights on their cars and, you know, power to act on behalf of the state and the city and the federal government and their communities and their counties, they get told to go to hell all the time. Just because they have the badge and the gun and the flashy red and blue lights on their car doesn't mean anything. So if people think they're going to somehow be able to de-escalate a situation with a badge, I think they're acting naively.
It's almost like a juvenile in an adult body that thinks that they're still playing cops and robbers in their neighborhood with their buddies, and that badge is going to immediately halt, you know, and that's going to do something because it's shiny, like you said. It's ridiculous, Tim.
It's a foolish idea. It just sets you up for failure. And obviously, because of the history that's coming out on this guy, it sounds like, you know, this is one of those guys that wants to insert himself into things, wants to have power that he hasn't earned, hasn't been trained to wield, and have influence in situations where he really shouldn't be. And you probably have at least one other case of that this week where someone tried to get involved, maybe with the best of intentions, but we hear this story more and more often. People trying to get involved in situations they don't need to get involved in and actually making it worse.
And this is actually go ahead, Ross.
I was just going to say, Rob, don't you think it's indicative of the undertrained to do something like that? I mean, it's always a guy who's got a badge who pulls it on a guy at church over a seat. You know what I mean? Let's back that up for just a second. What is that preacher preaching? That people are getting shot trying to sit down. I'm just saying. But it always seems like the people that grab those badges are the guys that are trying to substitute mistaken valor, if you will, with training. Like that badge brings something to the table for them.
Yeah, I just think it's a misrepresentation of everything. I mean, you know, we talk about churches. In the last week, I've had a Pentecostal preacher and a Methodist minister in class, and in different, you know, two different classes. They just happen to be there, and that's their job. We have people from all different walks of life. You know, there are people that understand the emotional energy that comes with a church, the closeness. We know that domestic violence, including murders, are unfortunately a thing that happen. And that family that a church creates, there's a lot of emotions, a lot of tensions there. Should people think about being armed there? People should think about being armed all the time. A lot of people, and this may have been your discussion that you were having online, they think, oh, it's church, you aren't going to need a gun. And that was, you know, a big thing with the DA's quote. Well, why was he bringing a gun to a crowded church? Well, that's a little bit of a red herring, right? The DA's opinion on gun carrying and in a church, that's naive. Dangerous things happen there. But this guy trying to be like the head usher in charge with a badge and a gun telling people where to sit, that's just lunatic.
It is. And again, I feel like he's probably going to end up in jail for a long time, to be honest with you. He's been charged. He's going.
What a blemish to the honest, hardworking, concealed carry permit holders to go out there and get trained and understand the limitations of what they're doing.
It's completely counterproductive to what we've been saying all the time, which is churches, schools when you can, all of those types of things. These should not be places that all of a sudden you just think, wow, I don't have the right to defend my gun-free zone, my family in a gun-free zone. What's up, Q? Good to see you tonight.
What's happening, Q? Hey, I don't know if you realize this or not, but churches are wising up to the fact that they're targets. Churches are putting together teams that are concealed carry permit holders with monthly training and you know what I mean? They're putting together teams to keep their parishioners safe. And
our local church, which is a pretty large congregation, they have 6 at all times, 6 off-duty police officers that are paid as staff to be on site for Sunday services.
There you go.
And I think you're seeing it not just in churches, but I think in any religious denomination. I think, synagogues and other types of um, places of worship that one way or another are becoming targets for different reasons for different people. So I
Yep.
think you're seeing it as a overall culture shift.
Well, let's switch gears to the next story because it kind of it takes it in a totally different direction. This was the story that Schwell and I also spoke about. Marine fatally shot while trying to stop a gunman at a Walgreens. And again, the basic story of this one is there's a dispute between a couple. The gentleman pulls out a gun, starts shooting, hits the girl in the foot, and then somewhere in the asphalt, goes to leave. The details now are that the Marine, who now is a CrossFit guy, who owns some gyms, family man, wife, kids, the whole deal, a good guy by all accounts, brandished his gun and then was shot and killed by this other guy who took off. Again, please jump in and tell me what you guys think about this one.
I've always been of the thinking that if you feel as though someone's life is in danger enough to pull a firearm, your intention should be to use that firearm. It should never be used as a deterrent in those kinds of situations. No warning shots, none of that stuff. You feel secure or strong enough about that situation, use the firearm.
Yeah, I think it's like there's a lot of different stories coming out about this. I've got a lot of friends down there in that area, Midland, Dallas, Fort Worth area. We've got some instructors down there, and I'm trying to kind of piece together what I'm hearing, what's coming out in news reports, and what people are kind of sending me text messages about. And it sounds like we know this much for sure. This guy witnessed an argument. Apparently, he may have gotten involved in trying to help de-escalate the argument just verbally first. Obviously, that argument escalated. Gun came out, the girlfriend got hit, the gunman goes to his truck. Meanwhile, the family of the deceased, the would-be good guy, the would-be hero, is there. And where exactly they are, we aren't exactly sure. I don't know anyway. And this guy definitely goes back to his vehicle and definitely comes back with a gun, the good guy. Tries to stop the bad guy from leaving. Now, here's where it's gone horribly wrong,
Yep.
And honestly, this is a guy who wasn't even carrying the gun on his body. Who knows why? Do I take my gun off? I go into the school for the kids. I go into a bank. I go to places I have to take my gun off and secure it in a vehicle. I get it. But the gun's not on his body. He's not rushed. This is contemplated. He goes to get the gun, comes back, and decides the best course of action is to try to stop a guy in a 3,000-pound vehicle, a 5,000-pound truck. And the guy could have run him over. The guy, who knows, what was the guy? He could shoot at the car as he was driving away. I mean, what this guy is thinking, and this is the crux of it for me, for all the Facebook posts, for the viewers. Aaron Israel put out a great thing from Fundamental Defense. He's from down in that area, one of our instructors. Think about this now. Don't be the dog on the porch that sees a squirrel, jumps off the porch, goes running, and gets yanked back by the chain. Don't make an emotional, impulsive, reckless decision that takes you away from your family, that causes you to do something that's going to put you in jail, going to get you sued over a bad guy who was driving away and didn't pose an immediate threat to anyone that's been articulated by any witness or any police report. So here we have a guy who's trying to stop a guy from leaving. Instead of render medical aid to the woman with a bullet in her foot, make sure your family's safe. No, you pull your gun out, you try to stop the guy. He gets out, he gets within contact distance, and this is to Schwell's point. You were going to shoot him. You brought a gun into this fight. You don't have a holster because you just went and got it out of your truck, and now the guy's within arm's reach and he's touching you. Maybe the good guy's gun went off. Maybe it didn't. At first I was asking questions like, was there a round chamber? Was it in 1911 and he couldn't get the safety off? Because it made so little sense that he didn't shoot. Maybe he did shoot. Maybe we haven't heard all the details yet. Yeah. But what we do know is he ended up on the ground with a bullet in his head and a second bullet wound, I'm not sure where it was, dead in front of his family, honestly trying to be a hero, getting caught up in the emotional impulse of not having thought about it now.
Right, and even if you take it to I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, that's it. I mean, just think about it now. Think about it ahead of time so that you know, wait a minute, this isn't my job.
Got it. I think you need to mute when you're not talking, Rob. I think I'm getting feedback.
Got it.
Okay, cool. Yeah, even if you take it to the what was going on in his head, you know, I've got to stop this guy from continuing this rampage. You're not a cop. That's not your job. Like I said, you should have been get the family out of the way. If you have to have a gun on you in case this guy's going to charge you and then you can use it, that's. But to go and attack a car or to go and attack a guy who's already shown you that he's willing to pull the trigger and shoot someone that's obviously with him. Go ahead, bud.
As a concealed carry permit holder, it is not your duty to detain people. It is to use that gun to protect your and at your discretion other people's lives. It's not there to detain people. It's not there to pull cop maneuvers.
Right. If it's obvious that if you don't, you're gonna die.
Would you put this like in the same category as I think was it Home Depot, the woman that tried to stop the shoplifter a couple months ago, and she's
no, not at all, Eric, because shots had previously been fired. He was responding to 2 shots that had already been fired, and this gentleman was in a vehicle and fleeing.
And then jumped out to respond to the fact that this guy was trying to stop him from fleeing. I mean, that's what he responded to. It sounds
Homie was auditioning for SWAT.
So this isn't a case of someone was shoplifting and somebody screamed, "He stole my purse," and you pull out a gun and you shoot someone and you shoot at someone, or this was someone who had fired his gun twice already, hit someone, jumped into a car, and was fleeing. The fleeing part is what changes the dynamic of all of this, because at that point, no more lives were in danger as far as we can tell. And I don't know if I may have missed it where they mentioned that the CrossFit guy is a Marine who is no longer active duty, as well as the gentleman that did the shooting was an active duty member. He's actually active duty. He actually turned himself in to his supervisors or his superiors in the military at the end of all of this. So
amazing. All right.
I think you guys are spot on. I think it's super important to remember your duty. If you're going to carry a concealed firearm, it's for your self-defense. It is not to become a law enforcement officer. It is not to chase somebody down or do something crazy. If you're in a bank and they're robbing it, if they're not trying to take your life, let them have that money. There's people that do that for a living. Now, if it was to try to hurt your family or something like that, then that's different. But we don't carry concealed to be police officers.
Agreed. All right, there was another video that we wanted to get to. This one is the open carry debate continues video, I guess. Let's just watch this real quick first.
Video. Police say they are looking for this guy who snatched a gun right from the customer at McDonald's. Happened super quick. He grabs it from his back pocket holster before running out of the restaurant. Police say
it's not really a back pocket holster. I don't think. I think it's on a side holster.
Guy who snatched a gun right from the customer at McDonald's. Happened super quick. He grabbed it from his back pocket holster before running out of the restaurant. Police say when the victim chased the thief, that guy pointed the gun right at him.
Of course he did. But yeah, again, guy in a McDonald's line with the gun sticking out to the point that this guy walks up and just grabs it and walks out. Was it a pocket holster? It's a back pocket holster. Is there such a thing?
Yeah, I would think it would be the same as your front pocket holster, that square little thing. But isn't it your responsibility as a carry, someone who carries, to be aware of where your stuff is? That's just negligence, man. It's complete negligence.
Someone had something. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Oh, I think I was just saying it's complete negligence that anybody would leave their gun so poorly defended. You know what I mean? Yep.
All right, let me rip through some of these because our time's flying by. It's already 26 after the hour. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. Please share it with your friends that you're watching Gun News Weekly on a Thursday night. We do appreciate it, and support our sponsors. Louisiana lawmaker seeks to arm domestic violence victims. That's an interesting one that's going on in the House. They've approved this measure. Baton Rouge area Republican has proposed this legislation, and basically it's to help women who are murdered by a former spouse or boyfriend, and blah, blah, blah. So very interesting, something that's going through. The other one is one that we touched on the other day that we still can't believe, but the Democrats passed gun confiscation bill for those accused of domestic violence. Shmuel and I went back and forth on this a little bit, but the bill is going to the Connecticut governor. Correct? Is that the same one? Yeah. No, that's a different one. I'm sorry, the different one. The same thing in Connecticut. I forgot. There's two things going on in Connecticut. The other one that's going on is they are looking to get actual mandate to have a 24-hour forfeiture of your guns if you have a protective order placed against you. The other one, the more shocking one, is that there's a gun confiscation bill that has been passed, and that one was approved 23-13 after 3 hours of debate. And again, the key word is that if you're accused, they can then force you to turn in your guns.
I thought it was innocent until proven guilty. Not anymore.
I can't imagine this is going to stay. There's got to be someone in the state fighting this.
You can't predict crime. If you could, you'd put the guys in jail before it happened. This is just another way to try to predict something. Because you're accused of something, they're gonna predict or try to look into the future and say that, oh, you could be a danger, so we'll take your stuff away. Careful. Mm-hmm. Careful.
And you know, it's an accusation, but if you look at the 4473, that's something that's on there as well. So to say that it's not going to happen or that somebody's going to fight it and prevent it from happening, don't let your guard down, folks. If you're in Connecticut and you have a say in this, or those of you who might want to write a letter or call and you know, fill out those petitions or anything, we can't sit by and hope for the best when it comes to these bills and these laws, because we've seen things pass that make no damn sense, and you can't take this one lightly.
Magazine bans are a good example of that.
In other crazy legislative gun news, excuse me.
She misses me.
Someone doesn't know we're live.
She hears you. California Democrats convert 5 zombie bills to gun control measures. Taking advantage of the resignation of an assembly lawmaker, Democrats moved in this week and gutted 5 of the bills that he proposed, replacing language directed towards environmental issues with taking on guns. The bills were amended on May 4th, and they're locked in a battle with the governors over who will lead the charge toward expansive new gun regulation in California. The measures include AB 156, which formerly dealt with greenhouse gas global warming, but now places restriction on ammunition. What? We're still talking about ghost guns. AB 857, which would have enacted clean vehicle rules for trucks, buses, and off-road vehicles, now places extra requirements on homemade guns, commonly referred to as ghost guns. They're crazy in California. It's just that simple.
They are absolutely nuts on the West Coast.
I just don't understand how they don't. Well, you should be yelling at them about research, not me. California in general. It's a big state. You could yell at them a lot. This is ridiculous. Their lack of research and knowledge of what they're talking about is astounding.
It's almost ridiculous that they can pass laws that A, make no sense, and B, are based on facts or fictitious assertions of guns. Mm-hmm. It's ridiculous, man. Absolutely ridiculous.
Continuing down the road of state stuff, and then we've got some fun videos coming up to talk about, is Minnesota. Their Senate protects the public from gun-like cell phone cases. And I don't know why I'm still dinging, because I thought that those things were shut down. Hold on. What's dinging?
At your Facebook.
Whoever's messaging me, stop. Maybe it's this. Hold on. Yep, there it is.
Yeah.
Got it. Apologize. Minnesota Senate protects public from gun-like cell phone cases. We've seen these things and talked about them. It looks like, I can share the picture. It looks like a gun, but basically the article from guns.com reads, The bill prohibits the possession, manufacture, or sale of such cases. 60-0 vote this week. Someday some kid is going to hold up their cell phone case, and a nearby police officer or a nearby person who has a permit to carry or someone who doesn't have permission to have a firearm is going to react, and someone's going to die. To the Democrat Ron Latz champion the increase of the regulation of real guns.
So why? Ask yourself why. Why do you need to regulate this?
$300 fine.
This is ridiculous. They're regulating a molded piece of plastic. The same thing applies for air guns. If you point an air gun at a cop and get shot, shame on you. If you point your cell phone holster that looks like a fake gun, shame on you. But why are we regulating this? I look at this as like Mother Nature, man. Like we need to stop regulating this stuff so that people take care of themselves. You know what I mean? If you're going to own this thing and you decide to point it at somebody, you deserve to get shot.
Well, Ross, there's two sides to this story, and you've taken one clearly, and you're talking about us making a decision as a consumer to buy, and present this thing responsibly or use it responsibly. But then you have law enforcement, the law enforcement perspective. Now you run the risk of people mistaking just regular cell phones for a firearm or the firearm case or whatever. So now their guard may be down and it may cost the lives of folks. Things like this don't need to exist at all. There's no place for it.
I understand the position, Schwell. I do understand from that position. But to actually regulate it, okay, so we put, we make it difficult to get them. But the regulation, we're going to write bills around a freaking piece of plastic? It just seems absolutely out of control to me.
I'm with you on this one, Ross. I think this is one of those things where now somebody's going to say in 6 months and 2 years, hey, we had to regulate that cell phone case that looked like a gun, and our kids are buying toys that are replicas. They say replica on them. Let's ban those because now somebody get rid of that. I'm with you. This is not a regulation issue. This is a common sense issue, and if people make dumb decisions, there's going to be consequences, and the social court is going to take care of this. Parents hopefully are going to tell their kids that's dumb. People are going to tell their friends you're an idiot, and hopefully there's no tragedy. These things just go away. And that's about education, not legislation.
Well, and at the end of the day, this is the government telling you that you're not smart enough to make your own damn decisions. And that's a dangerous position for our government. It's an extremely dangerous position for a free society. And we really need to wake up and stop thinking this way that, oh, we'll just regulate it out. We need to do something about it, but it certainly doesn't come from the government. It comes from social pressures, like Rob said.
And on that same note, is that not the same government who mandates you as a grown man to wear a seatbelt? But
absolutely, or
kids on school
insurance.
Buses don't have to.
Absolutely, it's absolutely ridiculous.
It's still your options to wear a seatbelt, as an example. You can get a ticket for it. You can get in trouble for it. But
yeah, they find the crap out of you for it.
All right, a couple more. This one's interesting. Georgia. Republican Georgia Governor Nathan Deal vetoes campus carry bill. The bill would have allowed people over the age of 21 who had taken the time and spent the money to acquire the Georgia weapons carry license to carry on campus. However, he vetoed the whole bill. And in a related story, kind of, according to guns.com, a Georgia college student was stabbed to death just hours after this thing was vetoed. And this was an attack by Fort Valley State University freshman was fatally stabbed on campus after he came to the defense of 3 women. That was Tuesday afternoon. Our condolences, again, this is one of those shows, go out to Donnell Phelps and his family. He was a freshman, and apparently, again, he came to the rescue and didn't have the tools to do the job when shit went down.
It's about time we stop trying to kid ourselves and thinking that the world is safe or can be made safe. The world is not a safe place. It's never going to be a safe place. You need to be able to protect yourself by any means necessary.
Who on the panel posted the Social Security release proposed rule to strip gun rights from some beneficiaries story? Somebody did.
It was probably me, the guy
Did
who
you
has
read it?
No, I don't read. I don't read the stories I post. That's not my job.
Dang it. Well, it's true. I guess there's a proposed rule to strip gun rights from some beneficiaries. What are they basing it on, I guess, is my question. Dang it, Schwell. See how I teed this up? And
You should have read it before you presented it on the
you
show.
know how many
That's
tabs I have open right now? How many more stories we have to get to?
Any responsible show host would have done that. It's not like you got a job and you got something to do during the day.
I was going to say he had all day in one job. That's it.
One job.
I feel a meme coming on.
Are we done or are we finished?
Show prep. No.
Hey, I can hit the red button right now.
Wait a minute, Schwell. Is we done or are we finished?
Red button.
There we go.
Is we done or are we finished? Right. Sorry, we're getting off topic here. All right, a couple other stories to talk about besides the Social Security ones, which we will get back to at a later date with details and accurate information. And this dog. Extremely dangerous improvised explosive device found was under a Texas bridge. They had to call in the ATF and disable the IED outside of a small central Texas town on Tuesday. They don't know much about this. Yeah, they don't know much about this, but that it had liquid in it. Is again the Waco Tribune did a whole story on it. They don't know anything about it, is what I read about this story. They just
the whole IED thing is not new. There have been 3 separate ones found in Volusia County that they've been mandated to not talk about. But because we have friends on the bomb squad, they've talked to us about different tactics, techniques, and procedures. And there are things that have happened that they want to be quiet.
Well, and you don't have to talk about that specifically, but you're saying that it's not something that's new in America that police squads are finding IEDs near our roads?
That's correct. The one in Volusia was actually at a playground.
What? Oof, that's not good news. Let's hope there's nothing.
It was actually a
vigilance.
EFT made of copper, the same way that the Iranians brought into Iraq towards the end of the war.
Unbelievable. Well, be vigilant. I think that's the story. This one I think you're gonna like. This is a good video to share, and they actually have video of the ass kicking, so I do like that. But this I'll let the video tell the story.
Myra Desanayaka was behind the counter when he noticed his co-worker returned to the store after a run to the bank. The men in this SUV were watching too because they went straight for the man in the bank bag as soon as he got out of his car.
Just the reaction, just you see someone get beat up, you just go out.
Myra ran outside, and before the alleged robbers even saw him,
the first guy I saw, I just kicked him in the face, then I punched the other guy.
Watch it again. Myra's co-worker is on the ground taking a beating when Myra's first kick catches one of the accused crooks in the face.
Myra!
Moves Myra learned in cage matches. He's trained in mixed martial arts for more than a decade and was named the MMA national champion for 5 consecutive years in his native country of Sri Lanka.
We learn like how to punch, how to kick, and how to move. So all that stuff you can use in the streets.
Or in this case, the parking lot. In seconds, the bad guys begin.
When they were running back, I caught one guy with a hook, so he fell down. So they just left it.
Take a look. One of the alleged robbers.
All right, so anyway, you can see the story. You can see what happened. My question is this. My question is this. And again, we don't. I guess, Q, you might be able to answer this one. Should MMA fighters, because I think there's a lot of them where I am, and I literally just had an experience where I just went and visited the local gym here, and I watched how many guys were coming and going and coming and going. Should MMA fighters, take pause before they carry a weapon beyond their hands and fists? I mean, their hands and feet. And also, at what point should they disarm themselves when they go training? I was thinking about the training aspect, because most of these guys are in gis and that kind of stuff. When you go to a gym, it was the gym question more than anything, because it was a big gym. Gym training, all those types of things. 2-point question. Should MMA guys also carry guns? But also, when you go training, where do you disarm? Because
I'll jump in on the first one. You know, I mean, I still am co-owner of a CrossFit gym in Ohio, Endeavor, and been around a lot of gyms, spent a lot of time teaching in the gym. We went through that phase and coming and going, sweatpants, all that. There's a lot of ways you can deal with the gun. Obviously, you're not wearing the gun when you're doing a CrossFit workout. You're not going to wear the gun when you're doing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. But having a place to secure the gun, obviously within whatever local laws, jurisdiction, legalities, you know whether or not you can secure something. I mean, I have vaults here in the back of the tour truck, right, built into the tour truck. Do I store guns in the tour truck? Absolutely. Can I keep a gun in the tour truck when I go into the gym? For sure. Is that the average car in a seedy part of town where you know there's a lot of problems leaving the gun in your glove compartment? No, those are two different things. Hopefully the gym is providing an opportunity for people to secure a gun inside of a lockbox. You know, design the.
Do they have lockers? That's pretty common to have lockable lockers. Okay.
Absolutely, Jim. Yeah.
Bring your own locker. You know, bring your own lockable like gun vault box and put it in there. I designed the belly band during that era with crossbreed holsters, where the holster is in a Kydex piece that attaches with the hook and loop with the Velcro to the belly band. So you can actually leave the gun holstered, don't expose the trigger, take it off, put it in your lockbox, secure it, and then when you're done with your workout, done with the gym, you take it out of the lockbox and you re-secure it to your belly band under your sweatpants, your shorts, whatever it is, without ever having to expose the trigger. So there are smart ways to do it. I've seen some guys do some not smart things with guns in the gym environment. As far as the second question, and then I got to jump off, guys, but as far as the second question, I'm going to jump in and say, you know, absolutely, there's no reason why somebody who has trained for unarmed skills shouldn't carry a gun. Similarly, and this is the important takeaway probably for most of our listeners, viewers, just because you have a gun doesn't mean you shouldn't train in the unarmed skills. These things are not mutually exclusive. They are overlapping and redundant, and intermediate force options like the chemical spray, the taser, whatever it's going to be, knife, a Kubotan, but unarmed skills are part of it. They don't mean don't carry a gun. They certainly, if you carry a gun, doesn't mean you don't need unarmed skills.
Got it. Appreciate you jumping in as always, Rob. Where are you off to next? Working and again, obviously, shout out the PDN network.
Yeah, I'm in Illinois, so I just finished the first of five classes straight in Illinois. I'm heading up. I'm actually going to do the Extreme Close Quarters class up near Rockford, Illinois, in 2 days, which is that one that integrates unarmed skills and contact shooting skills. Tomorrow is a basic pistol day up there. I'll be in Atlanta with Pistol Prep Academy, Atlanta, Illinois. And then I don't know where I go. Oh, Michigan. I'll be at the NRA show, of course, speaking every day at the NRA show like normal. For all the scheduled stuff, go to personaldefensenetwork.com. Click on the training tab. You'll see me and all the other contributors. Appreciate everything you guys do every week. Sorry I can't be on more often, especially this time of year out on the tour, but thanks for having me on tonight.
Whenever you can jump in, and I can guarantee you we are going to stalk the heck out of you at NRA. So whenever you see guys in the back of the room filming you and then taking selfies to make sure that you're in them, that's us.
Live broadcast. I'm talking about a live broadcast. We got to talk about that.
Absolutely. It'll make it happen. I'll talk to you soon. Thanks again, Rob. Everybody go check out Rob Pincus. Check out the PDN. Again, if you're in the area and you can link up and go do that training, obviously we recommend it. I have more stories, but we've got a story that we got to share. Casey. I have gun stories. Again, dad shoots sword-wielding son who attacked him. Teen robber with BB gun shot by armed victim with concealed carry license. 80-year-old grandmother opens fire, kills home invader who was stabbing her husband. Lots of stories of people defending themselves. But Casey, you had a real-world incident, and I wanted to give it due time tonight. So I'm going to put those stories and let everyone go check those out on sites like Controversial Times, Gun News Weekly, and Guns.com. But if you don't mind sharing what went down this week with you.
I was just going to my weekly pick my daughter up from gymnastics. Real close to where she goes. You know, it's more commonplace lately. You'll see folks that are disabled. They've gotten more access to these power scooters, chairs to get them around. And there was a guy coming directly down the road that that I was on, and everything looked fine until his chair stopped, and the guy literally went, in the worst way possible that you could imagine, fell head first onto the concrete.
Oh, man.
And then, rolled over himself, and, his hands weren't even, he didn't even try to break his fall.
But he was by himself on a scooter?
Yeah, he was by himself, and some of the people that came along later said that, he lives in the apartments that are nearby, and, goes to the store or whatever, and it turns out the guy was paralyzed already from the waist down. Anyway, so to make a long story short, this happened right in front of me. Obviously, the guy needs medical attention. He's bleeding. He had a large laceration across his face. He took a really good fall. So, obviously, I was the first on the scene, another guy, and my phone was actually still in the car. I just ran out to him. The other guy came up, had a phone, he called 911. And then it dawned on me, it's like, hey, I've got, as part of what I carry in my car as an everyday carry, I have a pretty extensive med kit. So pulled the med kit out, and just so happens the guy behind me was an EMT from Salt Lake City that was visiting the area, and luckily, he knew what to do. I always have said I'm going to take some medical training just to, if you are like that first on scene, and that's a minor incident, but, granted, if you do come across somebody from a bad car accident, about the only thing that I'm qualified to do is probably, get a tourniquet on someone to potentially try to stop the bleeding. So, I carry a pretty big kit, chest seals, everything really that you would need to treat gunshot wounds or massive bleeds, anything like that. But, when I pulled all the stuff out, I had no clue where it all was. It was just as much of a chore to find what this guy was asking for. And, luckily I had, this guy also, in addition to once he fell, and what may have caused this initially was a seizure. So he was still seizing when we got to him. So the guy asked for water, which, I had emergency water in, the bags, and different, gauze, bandages, alcohol, and the biggest thing too, there's blood everywhere. So, I was carrying, surgical type gloves, that I was able to give him and myself put on surgical gloves.
So what was the biggest takeaway from rolling up on a situation like that with?
It was good that I had the gear, and would the guy have, made it if we hadn't intervened, for the 10 minutes prior to the rescue squad getting there? Yeah, absolutely. But, there are situations to where if he had a major arterial bleed or something else was happening that was more major, first of all, if I was by myself and didn't have this other guy, I'd have no clue what to do.
Right. And that's exactly what I was going to ask. First
yeah,
of all,
I would have no clue what to do. Like I said, I could put a tourniquet on him. I could probably stop the bleeding with, have a variety of tourniquets, and from cats, just bandage tourniquets, whatever. And so it was. I thought about, okay, well, yeah, you definitely need to get some training, and having the gear is good too. And if that's all you do, I think, that's a good for you, because maybe you have the gear and somebody else has the know-how. And
hey, that's better than not having anything on you. You know what I'm saying? It's a step above nothing, for sure.
Right.
It definitely is, but I think it also highlights that if you don't have the training or you don't know how to use the gear you have,
right,
it's like, what do I do now? I've got all the toys, but I don't know how to use them.
No, absolutely. And I think that this kind of crosses over to the same gun world. That, yes, some people go and get a concealed carry permit, they carry a weapon, but they don't really have the training, the knowledge, the skill set to take care of it. So Casey, first of all, man, you did great, and I'm super happy that you had the gear with you and you had, the loyalty and the common sense to stop and help the man, where most people just drive right past.
And a lot of people did. And it's one and the same. I feel proficient. You can never be, but I feel comfortable enough with the firearms training that I've had. But, when it comes to medical, you're right. It's the same thing. It's and half of it's just, like I said, being organized, because, I had all the stuff. I knew I had it. but going through and actually finding it was a whole nother thing. So, if it had been more serious, more life-threatening, those seconds can mean life and death.
Right. And something to take into consideration is, what if that vehicle accident was you? Would you be able to go through your bag and find what you need?
Right.
Provide help for yourself or for a loved one.
Or try to help walk somebody else through it if you were incapacitated.
If you were the one that's hurt. So it's super important to lay those gear bags out in a manner that you know where things are, and you can label them. You can take surgical tape and label them.
Yeah, I mean, it's just kind of eye-opening
stuff, bro. Again, it's good. It's great to hear. And again, I'm going to I wasn't thinking about this, but I'm gonna, we're all a part of what we do, and we all have had this conversation several weeks in a row. I'm gonna put my foot on the gas pedal and make sure that myself and my family gets that training ASAP. I've got the resources literally next door, and it's been offered and it's been planned, and it got put off one time, and now I'm going to make sure it happens as part of because they're out of school very soon, and I want to make sure that we get some serious hours behind the talking to again the people, the resources that I have here. I encourage everybody on the panel to do the same. Q, I know you'll help out if can be, and maybe we should set something up for an hour one-off, maybe something at one of the big 3 events, maybe not next one, but the next one after that, or something like that, where we have some sort of medical presentation.
Yeah, I don't even think we need to wait that long. I think that it's something
for our guys.
Yeah. Part of this too, something that was going through my head real quick is, I'm not familiar with seizures and how they work, and part of me was thinking, okay, you don't really want to do anything drastic because you don't want to do anything that would, make his health decline even further. Because I mean, there's got to be some sort, and in the line of work I'm in, everybody has a liability for something. So that's kind of in the back of your mind too. So, I don't know how that plays out if you're trying to help and yada yada yada. But I mean, I think about things like that too. So.
Right.
You did great. You did great, Casey. When I did my Dark Angel medical class, he teaches you how to deal with the gunshot. But he goes, at the end of the day, this training, what you're gonna do is you're gonna go help the guy in the car accident. 90% of the time, that's what you're gonna see: the guy in the car accident. The guy that hurts himself on the side of the road, the gunshot at the range, yeah, we'll get you prepared for that, but that's going to be like the 5%, if that 1% of the time, and it's the everyday stuff.
Yep.
Yeah. I just want to kind of finish this off with this. 50% of what that guy needs is just you being there, someone to help him out. You know what I mean? Just to be there. The other 25% is having the gear, and then the other 25% is knowing how to use that gear. I totally applaud you, dude, for stopping, because, like you said, nobody stops anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And providing moral support, which I'm sure you did, and having the gear for the guy who knew how to use it. You were a key player in that, dude, and I'm sure that guy's thankful you were there.
I'm sitting here thinking about me and Ross a couple weeks back. We were on the balcony after a night of Big 3, and all of a sudden we heard a crash literally out on the road. We both jump, grab our med kits, to run downstairs. Here comes Marty from Talking Lead. Here comes a couple other people that are in town for the Big 3. Everybody's got their pack. Ross, you and I would have been sitting there looking like, well, I got a bunch of stuff. What do I do next?
It's exactly. I totally felt for KC, because I was out there with my pack, and what am I going to do with it? Okay, I know to stop the bleeding, put pressure on it. That's all I know. Find some gauze.
All right, so we'll make that something, and we'll keep everybody updated with our progress, because I think that'll be important. Obviously, we'll make some videos too along the way. All right, where are we? 9:56. We got a few more things we can touch on. Absolutely.
You want to touch on something? I got something for you to touch on.
Go ahead.
Me.
Got him. Oh, got him, really?
Ouch.
All right, story of the week that we haven't touched on yet, that again, we'll keep it minimal, is that Harris Publications has shut down. If you're unaware of this story, go over to guns.com. They have a full kind of breakdown of it with some links. The company statement basically said, quote, "The magazine publishing industry has been through turmoil. In the face of rapid ascendance of digital media, changing consumer content preferences, magazine wholesaler struggles, and consolidation in the supply chain. Quote, we have tried mightily to preserve against these forces, but have been unable to overcome these challenges. Unquote.
They didn't keep up with the...
1977 is when they were founded. 75 brands, including more than a dozen gun publications, are now gone. Go ahead, Eric.
Sorry. So a lot of good writers that we've met at Big Three and that are in the industry, they woke up one day with jobs and they ended the day without jobs, and that's the sad thing. The other sad part is you had an organization that didn't keep up with the times. They weren't staying current, and it's an interesting shift in how the industry is changing, how the consumers, I think, is becoming smarter, where the consumer is looking for more resources to and avenues to get information, not just print media, but online. I'll even say the content creators, the stuff that we do. So it's really interesting to see where it's going.
Well, it's the cell phone generation's coming, as I said before. You know, you had the Industrial Revolution that happened in 50 years. We are having an industrial revolution in media and it's getting quicker and quicker and quicker. And I think now it's every 3 or 4 years something is massively different. If you think about how long Google's been around, if you think about how long Facebook's been around, if you think about YouTube and what we use it for versus what we used to use it for, it's a huge difference right now, and it's happening right in front of our eyes, and we are a part of it. We could have a whole conversation about this topic, I'm sure, as content creators and being in the digital media world with what we
Guys, you can't deny that being in the digital age, that print media is on the way out. The newspapers were the first to feel it. The magazines are soon to follow. Everything's online. We are going paperless, and I think me and you, Kevin, were talking about that at Big Three, about the guys who are clinging to the print media are getting to be dinosaurs.
If you guys keep bringing up this Big Three event, we're probably gonna have a show where you guys actually explain what the hell Big Three is, because you keep talking about it, and
magical, Schwell. Magic.
No one knows at this point what it is. It's still this big secret because we don't talk about it enough. But
Ross
anyway,
still dreams about it.
let me wrap up real quick. Our veteran website of the week to support is the Team 5 Foundation. We haven't talked about them in a while. Go check that website out. 2 T-shirts of the week, and one incorporates a kind of a cool announcement. Go check out triumph-systems.com. The pop packs are in. The shipments are here. The product is a reality. Our friend Jared will be joining us soon, I'm sure, and I know we're going to see him in NRA. And I also wanted to shout out Liberty 13 Clothing. Come and take it. And a couple other shirts that are there are very cool. And again, he's a great supporter of the show and what we do.
Hey, I just want to say that I follow Jared on Facebook, and that he is a working man. That guy is working a ton.
He hustles, man, and it's again that American story about someone who created a product, and here we go. Here's the launch. I also wanted to give
passion, man. It's the passion.
Yep. I also wanted to give out a personal shout out to our friend Brody, as always, and another guy who's been around following a bunch of channels that I follow and that kind of thing. Again, I don't want to spend too much time, but Joe Dokes, man, we hope everything's okay with what's going on in your world, brother. Appreciate your support over the years. Make sure you check out Keybar, check out Green Force Tactical, check out Century Arms, and also check out Hilux Leatherwood Optics. And lastly, before I throw it around and let everybody do their little shout outs of what they got going on, one more time, the family fund for Tracy is last name once again CZACZKOWSKI. I'll say that again. CZACZKOWSKI Family Fund. Please go there and contribute. Please do what you can, and nothing but the best to the family to deal with this incredible situation. One more time, I wanted to put that out there. Quick shout outs around the panel real quick. Tell us what you do, where you are, where we can find you. Schwell, go first.
check me out at big3east.com, also Big 3 Training Center on Facebook, Schwell11 on YouTube. And my last thing is I want to give a huge shout out to Bill Brotherton, who celebrated a birthday this past weekend and did it with a jump. He jumped out of a plane. I would never do that, but I wanted to wish him a happy birthday and and a salute. He is one of my mentors, and I appreciate everything and all of the knowledge that he shares with me on a daily basis.
Swell, are you talking about Bill?
Yes, he's talking about
that guy's my new hero for sure.
Shout out to Bill. Happy birthday, bud. Eric.
You can find the Gear Locker on the web and on Facebook as thegearlocker.net, all one word. And we're on Instagram at TGL Eric, ERIC. And we've got some reviews coming up next couple weeks. Now the weather's getting warm here and getting some more range time in.
Excellent. Casey.
Just YouTube, Guns and Such. All together. Haven't been too active lately, but got some footage. That's going to change. We're going to try to get some cool stuff out.
Awesome. Awesome. Ross, you got anything up and running yet?
Oh, yeah, man. I'm absolutely in charge of nothing at all. You can catch me here at Gun News Weekly. That's it.
And then the Instagram, you're going to be pumping up some stuff on that coming up soon as well, correct?
I am. I'm working the Gun News Weekly Instagram, and I'm trying to figure out how to stop posting as Gun News Weekly on Facebook. But rookie at this shit, I'm one of the older guys. So
it's a little triangle that usually leads to something that drops down. Just side note.
One of these days I'll figure it out.
Yeah. Q, what you got?
Same old stuff, man. Death Valley on Instagram, Death Valley on YouTube, Big 3 Media, Big 3 Training Center, Gun News Weekly. Pretty much look for me anywhere and allwhere.
There we go. And for anyone that's going to be at NRA, we'll talk about it a little bit more next week, obviously, but come find us. We'll be running around doing some things. And lastly, check out everybody that they just mentioned on the thing. Yeah. And check out Kevin the Tag Daddy on YouTube. Check out Gun News Weekly and Kevin the Tag Daddy on Instagram as well. And that's it. I guess we'll end the show once again with a little video tribute to Pat Rogers. Guys, appreciate you. We'll see you next week, and thanks for jumping in. But we'll go out this week.
All the money that I have, I've spent it in good company, and all the harm that I've done, alas, it was to none but me, and all I've done for want of wit, to memory now I can't recall. So fill to me the parting glass. Good night and joy be with you all. Of all the comrades that e'er I had, they are sorry for my going away, and all the sweethearts that e'er I had, they would wish me one more day to stay. But since it falls unto my lot that I should rise and you should not, I'll gently rise and I'll softly call. Good night and joy be with you all. A man may drink and not be drunk, a man may fight and not be slain, a man may court a pretty girl and perhaps be welcome back again. But since it has so ought to be, by a time to rise and a time to fall, come fill to me the parting glass. Good night and joy be with you all. Good night and joy be with you all.